Greetings, everyone. I'm Jeff Rhodes with Crossroads Consulting, where we help businesses outsource, grow, reduce cost, and protect their business assets. Moving along in our new project, Tales from the HR Crypt, episode number 4 is the case of the disappearing man, or Mr. Invisible. Now, this is kind of interesting. This is an actual employee of a manufacturing company, very large, multi-billion-dollar manufacturing company. So they have shifts. And this particular employee is working the graveyard shift. And I'm not going to tell you anything more about this case of the disappearing man. I'm going to let you watch it. You're probably going to want to take some notes because this could get rather delicate from an HR perspective. And again, it goes along those lines of entertainment and education and protecting your business assets. Thank you and enjoy the case of the disappearing man.
This next one, you've shared with me. It's pretty interesting, but we're going to call this one the Disappearing Act.
Yes.
So I'll just turn it over to you and talk to us about Mr. Invisible here.
Mr. Invisible, so we'll call him Bob to protect the innocent or the guilty, however we view it. Again, a manufacturing facility, more recent manufacturing facility, very clean, climatized. It was perfect. Clean, bright. So this guy works third shift. And I'm getting reports from his leader that he's
Third shift.
disappearing. 30 minutes,
So,
25 minutes,
so let me just
45 minutes.
let me just interrupt it. So what are the hours for third shift?
11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Oh,
Okay.
graveyard shift.
Yeah.
So on that schedule, there was 2 15-minute breaks and a half an hour lunch break. So even outside of the break periods, this guy's disappearing. Just you look around and poof, he's gone. He just was in ninja mode. And then he would just reappear and be walking back to the line. So the leader asked me how to, address this. And I said, well, first of all, we already have breaks and we have lunch. So engage in a conversation, find out what's going on. So a couple days go by, the leader comes back and says, well, Bob says that he has GI problems and he's in the bathroom. Well, I said, okay, so then I need to meet with Bob because we need to have a conversation.
Clarify GI. I know what it means.
IBS, maybe? Yeah.
Gastrointestinal, GI problems, belly problems.
Billy Belly.
Billy
All right,
Belly.
I get it. Yeah.
So he reported to his leader that he was in the bathroom. All right, fair enough. So I meet with Bob, and Bob's talking about how he needs to use the bathroom and it takes time and et cetera, et cetera. And I said, okay, so I understand you're telling me this. So have you been to a doctor? Do you have a diagnosis? Can I get a letter explaining the intermittent nature of what you have so that we can perhaps adjust your work schedule? Because when we really started looking at it, out of a 7.5 hour, 8 hour shift, he was probably actually only working about 3 hours average.
Whoa.
So he was just disappearing. That's a lot of time in the bathroom.
Lot.
That's a lot of time in the bathroom. So meanwhile, while this was going on, I had another employee on the same shift come to me and say, I've been in there. Do you know what Bob's doing? And I'm like,
I don't want to know.
do I want to know? He's either sleeping or he's on his phone. He uses this to get out of doing work because he's lazy. Of course, this is coming from a busybody coworker, so you take that with a grain of salt, right? Because employees sometimes like to rat each other out or spy on each other. So I just said, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Go on, go back to work, etc. We're working with it. So I continued to have conversations with Bob. Bob never did bring in anything from a doctor. And after going through the full interactive process as required by the Americans with Disabilities Act, we ended up at an impasse, which was you have a scheduled work shift, you have 2 scheduled breaks, you have a lunch break. Should you need to leave the line outside of that, it should be, I would think, more of a rarity than the norm. And you need to speak with your leader to let them know rather than just, disappearing into thin air. And so the man got mad and was very upset with me and was like, I can't believe that I am sitting here having to talk to you about my poop habits and yada yada, and I got a report about my pooping when I've got all these belly problems. And I said, Bob, we will work with you. All I need is some documentation from your physician to let me know, and we can extend your shift so that we could then build in additional breaks. But we do have numbers we have to meet within the parameters of the job.
Yeah.
I can see if he's working the graveyard shift from 11 p.m. till 7 a.m. Did he have any other jobs, or was this his only job? Because if you're working 2 other jobs, at some point in time, you got to sleep. So maybe that was the case, right?
And I explored that. This was his only job.
It was his only job. Oh. Maybe he was a golfer. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
What does golf have to do with it?
If you're playing golf all day long, you're going to play golf at night. Sleep deprivation could be his issue.
I'm sorry to you golfers out there for my brother.
Well, Jeff, in all fairness, he didn't say anything about any extracurricular activities. He did not bring up any other health concern other than he had, gastrointestinal issues and needed to spend time in the bathroom. And, I get it. I understand. Everybody has things. You make accommodations for mothers that are lactating.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
that's required and the right thing to do to support your employees. But the man was unwilling to bring any sort of documentation or engage in any conversation that substantiated what his needs were.
Yeah.
So what it come down to is you need to be on the line and doing your job. And I actually had to get firm with him and say, I highly suggest you start working on a more regimented poop schedule so that it does not interrupt your ability to perform the essential functions of your job. I had to go that far.
Yep.
Again, absence of documentation.
Yeah, right.
So that's the performance review process then.
Yeah. And so when you don't have an ADA issue or accommodation and you're working within that, and even when you do, you still have performance metrics and you still have to do the job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's what the essential functions of the job still need to be performed, even under the ADA.
So I had a client that had a similar situation. And then they would go to his Facebook page. And so they knew when he was off the floor, right? They'd go to his Facebook page and then boom, there's 15 minutes of the guy just posting stuff and commenting. And so that's ultimately how they caught him. So, well, Stacy, listen, thank you so much for sharing these tales from the HR Crypt. I love the name.
Yeah. We got to do more.
Yeah, we got to do more.
Yeah.
There's a lot more. A lot more.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate it. Stay on with us for a second here. We're going to wrap up, but for those of you that want to learn more about HR and business consulting, go to our XR Consulting YouTube page. Check us out. And we appreciate you being here. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you for having me.
Once again, we are Crossroads Consulting. I'm Jeff. He's Billy. We're available to talk to you about any issues that come up with regards to your business. Our business model is to help you find solutions. There's no cost, there's no obligation to talk to us. You've seen some of the interviews that we've done. We have a lot of resources that we can bring to the table. We welcome you the opportunity to talk to you about your business and some of the challenges that you're facing now. We'll do our best to find the solutions. Again, there's no cost, no obligation.